Welcome to Snowmageddon 2025 here in the Midwest. We are blanketed by, I don't know about you, JJ, but at our house, we got almost a half inch of sleet before it snowed.
Woo!
So we have this layer of sleet, and then we had about 6 inches of snow on top of it. So if you walk outside, you sink into the snow, but you're not safe because you're hitting a sheet of ice down there. So it's very scary to walk around here. Frightening.
That's about what we got too. We got a bunch of sleep first. I wouldn't know exactly how much, but it's enough where our electricity was flickering off and on at times. And then we got, I thought about 6 to 8. Brody said 8 inches, but I thought we heard something about 6 inches. So yeah, same situation. We live on a side road and it's still covered where I'm at right now.
Well, I got out this morning and the roads were terrible. And so I called Tabitha first because she works in Merritt's, but she lives in Belleville, so that's a pretty long drive going across the river. And I called her and she didn't answer. I thought, oh gosh, she's on her way to work. And then she texted me back, no, we didn't go in today. Oh, good. And then I called Evelyn, who works in Clayton, and I told her, you know, she does have the option of working from home once a week. I called her and I said, might want to work from home today. So yeah, and it's just refreezing. So it's roads are going to be terrible again tomorrow. But by golly, we are inside and we have baseball. Tell me, JJ, how are you doing? And be
But
honest.
I'm going to be honest with you. Last Friday, I started feeling kind of peaked. And the whole weekend, I just slept. And I had things I wanted to go do, but I just said, no, I better just stay home. I don't feel like it. And my wife is an RN. And she said, you know what, JJ? You're gurgling. You sound terrible. And the urgent cares were closed. She had some home COVID test. I took a COVID test and I was positive. So I got COVID. And if you noticed, I'm in a different area of the house. I'm in one of the spare bedrooms. And if you notice, I got baseball stuff pretty much on every wall of the house. And this room here, I've kind of taken it over as my baseball room. So Brody helped me set things up. I came in here. I'm isolated. I'm living basically on Mountain Dew and baseball. I've been watching old playoff games and just I'll take NyQuil and stuff for cough Robitussin, and I'll just sleep for 2 hours. I don't even know what time it. I don't know what day of the week it is, Vince. I'm out here in left field. I'm seeing colors I didn't know exist on all
So
this metal.
so basically it's just a normal time for you. You're drinking Mountain Dew and watching baseball. So
Oh yeah, that's right. I haven't been outside. I think I got the trash can in on Saturday or something, but that's about all I've done. I took a few Christmas ornaments down and stuff, but once we found that out, I just came back here. Work won't let me come back until Monday, I believe, next Monday. So I'm just gonna sit back here and I don't know. I'm enjoying it. Life is good, other than the COVID.
catch up on your soap operas.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh,
Hey, I didn't know. Did you know there's words to what is the one? One Life to Live? The one that's Nadia's theme. The one that plays Nadia's theme at the beginning. Young and the Restless.
Young and the Restless.
There's words to that song because David Hasselhoff was on some talk show back in the old days, and I happened to see this, and he was singing the song, and I was like, "What the heck? I didn't know there was words to that song." But I like Nadia's theme. I like that song, but I don't like the. I like the music. Let me put it that way. I'm
When I
talking crazy. I'm talking crazy.
when I was growing up, my mom worked midnight. She was a single parent, so she slept during the day. So in the summertime, we couldn't make a lot of noise because we'd wake her up. And so I have a sister who's 3 years older than me. And so if I would make too much noise or do something to where she would have to punish me, I think she kind of enjoyed punishing me. She would she would lay me on the couch and sit down on me while she watched her soap operas. And all I could do is struggle, let me shut up.
Which ones did she watch? Which one? Which one do you
She
remember?
watched The Young and the Restless.
As World Turns, probably.
I don't remember that one. I just remember The Young and the Restless uh, more than anything else. So,
Soap operas are kind of going away, Vince. There's not that many of them left. There used to be a ton. And now I think got a General Hospital, maybe a few others. Just that there's only a couple left.
yeah, well, the times have changed because they were marketed and they were made uh, for housewives, kind of an escapism for housewives. And now that women are in the workforce, so they just don't have the viewership that they used to have. So I'm sure there's one or two still out there, but yeah, when we were growing up, it was soap operas and game shows during the day. That was it. I mean,
Great game shows too. That's an era gone by. The game shows are still around though. Even in prime time, they have game shows. But man, they had a password. There was a girl I used to like, and I'd go to her house and we play the $10,000 pyramid. One of us would sit with our back to the TV and we give clues and try to beat the people on the show. So I'd go over there for an hour and hang out with her, and we'd play game shows. I'm Mr. Smooth, Vince.
what was your favorite game show?
Favorite game show. What? There was one. I don't. Do you remember Make Me Laugh with Bobby Van?
Oh yeah,
That was a great game show, and they bring a contestant out and try not to laugh, and then they'd come out there and Vic, somebody was a big heavy set guy, and Roger, and there was quite a few guys that were on there.
oh yeah, Bruce Bowen.
Oh,
Uh,
that's right. He kind of looked like Ron Finger a little bit.
yeah. Oh gosh, Williams was on an episode. I do when he was very young. Um, yeah, Roger and Roger were really funny. Gary Mule Deer,
Very
before he got messed up, he was on there. It was just that was a great show. I really liked the Hollywood Squares, and
Paul Lynn
I
was hilarious.
yeah I think that's where I first started realizing that there was some double entendre going on and words could mean different things. I didn't always get it, but I knew, oh, he said something that's adult. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That got pretty risque. Password with Brett Summers and all that. Oh, yeah. And Juicy JP
SJ.
Morgan on the Gong Show.
Yeah. Oh, the Gong Show was awesome. Do you know that Peter Marshall, who was the host of Hollywood Squares, his son was Pete LaCock?
I did know that on back of one of his baseball cards, it says that. So
Yep.
that's how I do that.
Very good. Very good. All right, well, I do need to get the housekeeping out of the way. Please like us on Facebook. Those of you who wish to contact us may contact us through one card, one cup, one beer at gmail.com. Those of you who are watching on the YouTube channel, please subscribe to the YouTube channel so you will have our information as soon as it breaks. If you'd like to be a supporter of us, and we do like our supporters, you go to patreon.com, you search for one Cardinal, one cup, and one beer, and you can support our efforts. And it is greatly appreciated. If you want to be a part of our show, if you have an interesting baseball story, if you'd like to be a part of a panel, just get a hold of us, send us a DM somewhere on one of our platforms, or you can email us, say, hey, love to be a guest on the show. And we're happy to have you. And we do have a guest today, someone who's very close to me. So that's going to be interesting. So anyway, JJ, I were you sick during New Year's? Did you have any kind of New Year's celebration or?
No, when I was young, I always would stay up and watch Dick Clark and watch the ball drop and count 10, 9, 8, and they had all the acts of the day. But as I've gotten older, me and my wife have a tradition. We eat black eyed peas and hog jaws, or I eat black eyed peas and hog jaws for good luck. And we watch Galaxy Quest. For some reason, years ago on New Year's Day, we watched Galaxy Quest. So every year it's a tradition. We watch Galaxy Quest, and we only watch it on New Year's Day once a year. And I love that movie. And so many good people in that movie. Sam Rockwell has a little part. He's so good
Yeah.
in it. So that's kind of what we do. But no, I've been tired for a while, but I have a pretty rough schedule. I stay real busy, and I think I'm just worn out. And I thought, well, that's it. I'm getting older. And then I started kind of having like a sore throat, and it just got worse and worse and worse. So that's what happened. But no, I didn't have much of a New Year's. Just stayed in and wore my jammies and watched movies, basically.
Hmm. Yeah, it's pretty subdued around here. Violet was home for winter break, but she and her friends all got together at one of her friends' apartment. They had their celebration. So I think I made it till 10, which is pretty late for me. I'm just not a night person. So went to bed, and I do remember waking up when the fireworks went off because I want to tell you, I how can I say this and still run for office? Um, my neighbors, you would think that they were just found out what fireworks were. I've got neighbors all around me that it's like the highlight of their life is lighting fireworks. And I'm at a point in my life where I would much rather just sit and watch the display on TV. It's
Yes.
not as loud and my cats don't get freaked out and everything like that. But one year the neighbors uh, put something akin to a stick of dynamite in a tree and just like blew it up. It was like these were people that were middle aged. I'm thinking, uh, you're not 12 anymore, but
So many
I
things.
hope the neighbors never watch this.
We were so stupid as kids. I lived in a trailer park when I was young, and we'd have bottle rocket wars and Roman candle wars, and I'm surprised we're still alive and in one piece. But I remember this guy had overalls on. Joe Barfield somebody shot a bottle rocket. He ducked, and it went between him and his overalls. And when he stood up, it exploded. And we were crazy. But those days are gone now. We can't run or anything anymore.
Oh, excuse me. Well, this is our first official show, 2025, so we should treat it with a little more respect than we are treating it, dadgummit.
Yes, sir.
Um, so let's get into the baseball news. Um, Not a whole lot going on. Um, Holidays, but Trevor Williams signs back with Washington for 2 more years. So that tells me that the Nationals will not be a playoff team for a while. Let's just fill the gaps here, okay? This was interesting. Josh Rojas, who's a middle infielder, kind of floats around the diamond, part-time player for the Mariners. He was linked to the Cubs for quite a long time, and then he signed a 1 year with the White Sox. And people are asking in my Cub group, why would he sign with the White Sox? People who are marginal players are going to sign with the White Sox because they have an opportunity to play a lot. It's that simple. When you have a team that won 41 games, JJ, we could make the roster.
I've been working on my screwball.
Um, Speaking of screwballs, actually, I should be thinking of curveballs with this guy. Uh, Charlie Morton signs a 1 year deal with the Orioles after spending the last 4 years with the Braves. This guy has had such a strange career. He
What?
was a marginal pitcher in his 20s, mostly for Pittsburgh, nothing special. And then he went to Houston and they honed that curveball to where he could throw it with the most wicked break known. And I don't know, he's in his 40s now, and
Sure.
he's not a top of the line pitcher anymore. He's like the fourth or fifth starter on a team, but come playoff time, he's a good option for middle relief. Um, but I think this is a very good signing for the Orioles who need that kind of playoff experience, and he has a ton of it to come in and not anchor the staff as the number as the ace, but anchor the staff as the person who can lead this young pitching staff into the playoffs. Because what the last 2 years have showed us with the Orioles is they don't know how to play playoff baseball yet. And it is different than the regular season, and they have not figured it out yet. What did you think about the Charlie Morton deal?
Vince, you said it exactly right. He is a veteran and he has tons of experience. I think he's even better in the playoffs than he is during the regular season. It seems like he peaks at the right time. There's
Yes.
so many games where he comes up, gives you a solid outing, and gives you a chance to win. And when you're in these playoffs, sometimes the best of three, best of five, you got to go out there. You got to go get it. In 162 games, the better team will rise to the occasion, and the best team usually is has a better record. But in the playoffs, anything can happen. Any miscue, anything like that. And this guy will do anything he can to help his team. Like I said, bullpen, a spot relief, come in to face one man, just get through the inning. Well, you can't do that anymore, the rules and everything. But I like him, and that Oriole team is a young team, and I'm always about some veteran leadership. And you know, this is great having him around because it gives me. I love to see the older players who maybe aren't quite the skill level they used to be, but because they're mentally stronger, they know how to get people out. They know how to play to their strengths, use their defense. A lot of these young guys are just trying to throw it by people and get those strikeouts up. And if you use your defense, you can get through innings quicker. And but I think it takes knowing that your guys can make the plays behind you, trusting them, a lot of trust. And he's one of those guys. He trusts his team. And man, and another thing with having him on your team and being a fourth or fifth starter, he's probably better than the other team's fourth or fifth starter going in there.
Yes.
It's a good matchup. So
Yeah.
I think win-win all the way across the board, Vince.
What are your thoughts on Trevor Williams? I didn't ask you that. I meant to.
Okay, Trevor Williams, help me out. Where did he go to?
Well, he was with Washington, and he's signed for 2 more years with Washington.
Oh, I don't know much about him, Vince, to be honest with you. I don't know much about Trevor Williams.
He was a Cub for 1 year,
Okay.
and I don't know. He was one of those Pittsburgh guys back 10 years ago when Pittsburgh had all these young pitchers coming up that were really good. Um, I I just if I'm Washington and I'm clearly rebuilding, I get wanting to have a veteran on the staff. I'm just not sure if this is the veteran I would want on the staff. I guess you could say. Um, yeah, he kind of mailed it in when he was with the Cubs. He didn't want to be there. Um, it was. I don't have a high opinion of him, and I just was kind of curious why Washington signed him back for 2 more years. I get the rebuilding, and they want some veteran leadership. Um, I'm just not sure if he's the type of leader I would want. That's
Yeah,
all I'm saying.
sometimes there's things behind the scenes we don't know about, like how the front office he interacts with the front office or the coaching staff. They still have that coach that's been there for a long time, Martinez. He's still the coach there, isn't he?
Yeah,
And so maybe some of that's that. I think they're getting better. I think they've hit their low, and I think they're up in the climbing up into the middle range of the league now. They seems like they're making some improvements and coming up. I when I saw them this past year, they've got two or three like blue chippers out there that look like they could be pretty good ball players. A big outfielder. Uh, I know they're a long way from being competitive in that division, especially, but I think they're on the up climb. And it's just 2 years. Shoot, sometimes I get mad at the Cardinals. They'll sign a guy I'm not so sure about for 5 years, and I'm like, oh no. And then we're the last 2 years we're just trying to eke it out and get through it. So 2 years isn't too bad.
I remember when the Cardinals signed Mike Leake, and a friend of mine was just so ecstatic. And have you watched this guy pitch? He's like, yeah, he's with the Reds. He's pretty good. I'm not so sure I would want to spend my money there. And Mike Leake just bottomed out with the Cardinals. Poor
Sure.
guy.
We've had quite a few of those, but we've had some guys come, come out of nowhere and have pick it up. So you just never know. But yeah, Leach, I just thought he was probably better than who we had. I'll be honest with you at the time. I can't remember exactly who we had at the time, but that shows you how bad we were when Leak was going to get in the top five pitchers on the team.
Oh, that's okay. I remember the year the Cubs signed Tyler Chatwood for 3 years at 39 million, and I thought we're paying $13 million to this guy, and the Cub brass was all like, "Oh, he's much better than his numbers because he's been pitching in Colorado. His spin rate is ungodly. He's gonna come in here and tear it up." And yeah, that didn't work out. He couldn't throw the ball over the plate.
Yeah, that's the most important pitch. Bob Gibson said strike one is the most important pitch. Get ahead.
That's right. That's right. Um,
Vince, I
I,
got something for you. What do you think? Sometimes, like it's New Year's and the resolutions and things you want to happen for your teams and your life and your family and everything. So sometimes the best things that happen are the things that don't happen. The Yankees, I thought it was a perfect marriage with them and Juan Soto on their team, and I think they offered him a real good contract. I heard some places say that he actually took less money to go somewhere else, but the Yankees have made a pivot, and I think the team's better now than when if they had Soto. They've picked up Max Fried, so now you're looking at your start rotation as Cole, Fried, Rondon, Gill, Clark Schmidt, and your six starters, Marcus uh, Stroman. At the moment, they got Bellinger, Devin Williams, and now Luke Weaver will be the setup man, and then Paul Goldschmidt. And I really think overall the team's probably in a better spot as a whole than is if they now Soto's a great player and all, but what do you think about that? How they've kind of pivoted and made their team across the board a little stronger.
yeah, I think the team is better than last year, particularly defensively, because Judge has been playing center field, but he's not a center fielder. And now you got a center fielder coming in who's got a tremendous glove, and Judge can move to right where he's more suited for. And then you've got an upgrade at first. So nothing against Rizzo, but he just didn't have it last year, and he fought injuries and was not that good. And I think that they're in a better spot. It's like any other team, though. If they stay healthy, they should, along with the Orioles, be the class of the division. If they have injuries, who knows?
You're
Uh,
right. They got a lot of lefties in their lineup. Jazz Chisholm, a lefty. Bellinger, a lefty. Wells, they're awesome catchers, a lefty. And then you got two switch hitters at the bottom. And this kid, Jason Dominguez, is the one they call the Martian. And they've been big on him for a while. And he kind of had a few little injuries along the way in the minors, but he's going to be up this year, hopefully playing for them. He's an outfielder and a switch hitter. That could be a pretty strong outfield. So stay tuned. That could be the Yankees could be on a good roll this year.
See, if I'm the Yankees, I send I send Stanton out to DH about 5 times a week in a 7 game week, and limit his at bats to around 400 ish, and try to keep him healthy, because if he stays healthy and then you can unleash him at the end of the year in the playoff times, it's just going to give you a stronger push. And I think last year they did a much better job managing him, um, realizing that if you play him too much, he is going to break down. And so I think with that second year of how they managed him last year, it's just going to make them better how they figured things out. So I really do like what the Yankees have put together. My only problem with the Yankees is that they're the damn New York Yankees.
I know. I know. I'm with you. I'm with you. Um, and they do still spend a lot of money. And it's going to be fun when Soto and the Mets go into Yankee Stadium and vice versa. That's going to be fun. I like those little side stories with the game, and all that. So that'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Well, I include this guy because I usually don't do minor league contracts, but this guy does have some name recognition. He has underperformed the last few years severely. Kevin Biggio has signed a minor league deal with the Royals, so he'll be going to spring training, and I guess he can fight for a job there. And I remember uh, 8, 10 years ago watching a segment on the MLB channel where they talked to um, Vladdy Jr. and Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, who were all in AAA at the time. And uh, Biggio was very highly thought of, a little more highly thought of than Bo Bichette was. And then he had a really good start to his career, and then just plummeted. So hopefully he can bounce back with the Royals and um, resurrect his career.
Good for the Royals. I think that's a good a risk for them. It's a low risk. And it could be a high reward. And they need all the bats they can in that lineup. And I really am excited to watch the Royals play this year with India over there and Pasquatch and of course Bobby Witt Jr. and Perez. And they've got a young catcher coming up too that's a pretty good ball player. So they're I know Perez is one of those legendary players with that team. They'll figure out a place for him somewhere. So maybe they'll cut him back on his catching and he'll DH more, something like that.
Yeah. Brent Rooker signs a 5-year contract extension with the A's. Um, you can hate the A's for leaving, and I certainly do understand that. But what they have done, I think, has been I think they've done some things that have shown we're not just going to lay down in this division. Um, Rooker had a fantastic year, and so they've got him for 5 years now. They have Severino now. Was it Severino they signed?
Yes, they did.
Um, and of course Miller in the bullpen,
Yeah.
and they seem to be for the first time in a few years building towards something. And it only makes sense that by the time they move to Vegas, that they have a good product to put on the field. Because one thing about Vegas is there's a lot of competition for the entertainment dollar. And so um, you really do need to put a good product on the field to attract people. Excuse me.
Oakland, it always was one of those things where every time they get a good player, you think, ooh, do we need say Olson at first? Hey, do we need a first baseman? Hey, let's go get Olson. You knew they were going to be available if you made the best offer. And now they get to keep some of their players. And that's a proud franchise going back to Philadelphia and Kansas. Well, not so much when they were in Kansas City. They were like the Yankees minor league team. But when they got to Oakland, there were so many good memories and teams and players. And I'd like to see the A's, come back and be the team that I always remembered. I'm glad they're keeping their colors, and they've got a nice core now. And that Rios kids was a stolen base leader one year. So let's see what happens. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun for them watching the A's again.
Yeah, the Cubs go there early in April. I'm not counting the Japanese series with the Dodgers, but they either open in Sacramento with the A's and then go to Arizona, or they open with Arizona and then go to Sacramento. I don't remember what order it is, but I'm kind of excited to see. First of all, I like weird stadiums. I like, oh, they're going to play in a minor league stadium. I got to see this. I
Dude.
do like that. So that's pretty cool. And, that's why I'll watch some of the Rays early on. Oh, they're going to play in Steinbrenner Field. I got to see this. So I was watching during the COVID years the Blue Jays play in Buffalo because I just thought, oh, that's kind of cool. But I will actually uh, probably watch more than few ga- a few games there because I'm just kind of interested not just in the novelty of them playing in a minor league stadium. They put some pieces together, and yeah, maybe something good's going to happen here.
Well, heck yeah. And just they have it just being new in Sacramento. I think people will go just to see what's happening. But I don't think it's a big ballpark. What, like 20,000, maybe 14,000, somewhere in there.
Something
It'll be a
like that.
it'll be a packed house. It should be because when they were in Oakland, it was just hard. There was little groups, patches of people, and I think that's just good for team morale having a full house out there rooting you on. So we'll see what happens. It'll be fun.
Gavin Lux was traded from the Dodgers to the Reds for outfielder Mike Serrata. Um, Lux was kind of pushed out when the Reds or when the Dodgers signed Kim. They also signed Edmonds. They've got a lot of options for middle infielders, and Gavin Lux just hasn't put it together the way that they thought he would. And so a change of scenery will probably help him. And yeah, there was just really no room for him on the Dodgers. So good.
I think it's a good move for the Reds, to be honest with you. Lux, who's got a veteran playing second, and there's talk of De La Cruz moving to third, and Matt McLean, who was the second baseman, going to shortstop. That's the latest thing I've heard about some of the movement on their team. I saw a play last year where De La Cruz ran into India and he kind of scorpioned, like his head was down, his feet were over his back like that. I was like, "Oh, is he okay?" And he was, but maybe third base might be better. But he's got a strong arm; he can throw that ball across the
Yeah.
infield. So we'll see. They got some flexibility there. Now I know Lux can play several positions too.
Yeah. I just hate to see the Reds get better. I hate anybody in our division getting better. So
I know. Vince, anybody in our division can win this thing. And I'm telling you, the Pirates and the Reds are going to be really good this year, I think.
going back to Kansas City, Michael Lorenzen signs for 1 year with the Royals. Uh, Versatile guy. He started, he's relieved, he's played the outfield, he's pinch hit. Um, Getting a little long in the tooth, but uh, yeah, I think they'll probably have him as a bullpen arm and bring him in some leverage situations in the sixth, seventh inning. He's also got great tattoos, so that helps. Uh,
So
Chris Martin signs for 1 year with Texas. Former Cub Chris Martin, who has put together a very quietly put together a very, very good baseball career. Um, will be a tremendous addition for that Ranger team, which decided they were going to make some moves this winter and get better, and they've been quite busy. So good for Chris Martin.
I think in that division, the Astros seem like, I don't know what's going to happen with Bergman, but they just don't seem like they're the team they once were. Their players are getting a little older, and that division could be up for the grabs. And the Rangers seem like they're sitting there ready to make a move on them. That could be really good race this year. See if the Astros can do it one more time, or will the Rangers overtake them? That'll be fun. That'll be fun watching that this year.
Yeah, and the Angels have put together this weird team. I'm kind of wondering
How they gel.
how that works. And we've already talked about Oakland uh, being a team that's on the rise, and of course the Mariners have just
Pitching.
great
They got
pitching.
pitching. Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, it should be an interesting division. Now, let me ask you this. I was
Sure.
doing a little research, and I do realize there are still free agents to be signed. But as of right now, half of MLB teams have a payroll of less than 100 million. The team with the lowest payroll right now is Miami. The Marlins have 31 million payroll. Now the Yankees, the Mets, the Phillies, and the Dodgers are all over 200 million. So you take those four out, the 15 out, so you have 19 of those remaining 11 teams are between 100 and 200 million. I if we're not going to have a salary cap, and I get why people don't want a salary cap, especially people with teams that have a ton of money, even though a salary cap has done wonders in every other sport to give competitive balance. We are baseball and we're still stuck in the 30s, and
We
Hoover
are.
says that everybody's going to have a chicken in their pot and a car in their garage and all this other. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here. At the very least, we need to have a salary floor.
I agree. I agree
And
with you.
that needs to be 100 billion. And if you can't afford to have a payroll of 100 million, sell your team. You shouldn't be an MLB baseball owner. Um, right now, as it stands, the Cardinals have 105 million, and the Cubs are about 115 million. So I think they're like 14 and 15 on the list, but the Cubs should go up because we still have money to spend. There are still free agents out there. The Cardinals are in this rebuild mode, but I certainly think they're going to add a couple of veteran pitchers, bullpen arms, something. So I'm not dissing uh, those teams, even though they're closer to the 100 million mark, because they've had a history of paying their players. I'm talking about the Pirates. I'm talking about the Marlins. I'm talking about the Royals until the last
You're
year when
right.
they extended with. These teams need to say, they need to be told, you have $100 million you have to spend on talent, because talent is what makes this league work. And if you don't have talent, you're not going to win games. And if you don't have somebody people want to come see, and you don't have a team that's competitive, you're going to draw like the Marlins. You're going to draw like
The
these
devil.
teams. So, for the health of the game, if you had $100 million salary, every team would be able to afford to pay a couple of players who would be marquee type players.
Right.
And the owners that scream, broke, 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 fine, you have to sell your team. I don't know how they would do that, implement that, but I'm when I was looking at the current payroll, it just sickened me. These teams make money hand over fist. They do, even the bad ones. Um, and if you're not going to give your fans anything to latch on to, you deserve to have no fans.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'm with you. I'm with you. 100, the floor, the salary floor, and a lot of these teams are getting reaping the benefits of the salary, the luxury tax. The
Yeah,
Mets and the Dodgers had to pay a ton of money in. Now I understand that the money is split, and there's like for retirement and for the union. I don't know something, but then the rest goes to the lower income teams. And I think a lot of them are just pocketing the money. You don't see them unless they're putting it in their minor leagues or something like that. I like how some of these teams like Milwaukee have, they know they can't compete with the Mets and the Yankees and the Red Sox. So what they do is they take a young player they believe in, like Jackson Chirios, and they offer him long-term contract out of the gate. And they've invested in this young man, play left field, and be a future star for them. And last year, he really lived up to the billing. And I wish they could have kept Adamas. I don't know. I think the money he got elsewhere was just so much more. But yeah, something you're right, man. Something has to be done because it's this, and it's usually the same. five or six teams down there at the very bottom. And every once in a while, they might pop up and find lightning in a bottle and have a good year. And the fans show up when they're having a good year. But mostly it's a ghost town. Tampa Bay, when they're not going well, the fans don't come out. Uh, let's see. You mentioned the
Even when they're
Marlins.
going good, the fans don't go out there.
The Marlins, that team, I don't even understand what they're doing. They're trading away what talented players they do have. If I was a GM, I'd go and Sandy Alcantara could pitch next year. I'd go grab him. That guy, oh my gosh, I wish we never would have got rid of him. They've got some talent on that team, but it seems like every time they get a good player, they trade him away. And you can't build a fan base that way. You fall in love with a player, you go through the thick and thins with them. So yeah, I don't know why a fan would invest time and effort into a team when they're just constantly a roster turnover and they're just not spending any money or getting any help. I remember when the brewery when Augie passed and the brewery owned the team, and there was times Joe Torre had us in a playoff contention one year, and they went out and got Todd Burns and Juan Augusto. And we were like, what the heck? And I remember Troy Lue going, uh-oh, Augusto's coming to the game. Put on your batting helmet, because there's going to be line shots going into the stands. And it was. It was. So we were like, what the heck? And thank God DeWitt came in and got the team, although he doesn't, I don't know, I don't agree totally with how he spends his money, but it's his money and his team. But sometimes I wish he'd kind of loosen the purse strings and keep a player a little longer or go get some help sometimes. But I'm with you, Vince. Something's got to be done. And uh, doesn't the collective bargaining agreement come up soon again? Isn't it in a couple of years?
I think it's after 2026.
Okay. Well, see, I know there's a lot of things on the table there, so maybe that could be one of them. If you're going to want this, we want this, or something kind of deal.
Yeah, one of the best thing that happened for baseball fans was the strike in 94, because that woke up Major League Baseball into saying we cannot let this happen again,
Right.
because until the home run race in 98, 95, 96, 97, nobody cared about baseball. Nobody was selling out. It was, yeah, it was almost forgotten about. And then with the home run chase, that brought fans back. Um, but there's still enough owners that realize we can't do that again. The players also realize we can't let that happen again. So the best thing for the fans was a strike, because we're not going to see that again, because they know it could ruin the sport. The worst thing, though, that happened for the players and the owners was a strike, because now they know we can't let it get that far. We have to concede things, and come to an agreement. And when you concede too much, um, then nothing really gets done. One collective bargaining agreement leads into the other one. And I remember before the last one, it was like the players were like, "Oh, we got to get rid of the service time thing. We got to get rid of the service time thing." They didn't get rid of the service time thing. They
Um,
it got to the point where we have to sign a new collective bargaining agreement. So here we go. But one of the things that I would do if I was on the player side is I would fight for, we need to have a salary floor. Now, if you want to do that in increments, like,
oh,
okay, your salary floor is 70,000 the next 70 million the next 2 years. Then the next 2 years after that, it's going to be 85 million. And then you have to be up to 100 million within 5 years or something like that. I, I, I could live with that if they did it incrementally, because that would give teams whose owners absolutely cannot afford to pay that, give them time to sell their team. And it would also give owners who can't afford it, who aren't doing it, time to adjust to it. I don't remember the Pittsburgh owner, but he's making tons of money and spending nothing and running that franchise like it's a minor league franchise. I remember in the 90s when uh, Poulan uh, may have been the wealthiest baseball owner, had the Twins. and they were playing in that crappy Metrodome, and he could have funded a stadium by himself, but he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't sign the players. Just sat there and just kept collecting the money. And if I bought a baseball team, I would be Vince Steinbrenner. It would be my passion. I would do everything to win, you know? And I,
You, you know that
it,
Mets owner, who's I think the richest owner in baseball right now, the Mets owner.
Tone, yeah.
I think he came out and he was, I'm going to get all the players. I'm going to do this. But some of the things he did, and I applaud him, but he went after Verlander and Scherzer, and they were just, I was thinking, ooh, they're older. I don't know if they're going to hold up. And they broke down, and that kind of killed that season. But he's done a good job. Last year was a great bounce back year. When the last time they had the collective bargaining agreement ran out, I know a few things that did come from that. One is the league minimum is slowly, incrementally going up. I think it went from 560,000 a year, and I think it's going to get up to about 800,000 a year, which is pretty. I don't know. To me, that sounds pretty good. It's come a long way. I could manage on that. I could get a few
That's
bobbleheads, I think.
that's a little
And
more than I make now.
I guess I can manage. And then the other thing, I'd be one of those guys, Vince. I'd be eating from the buffet in there. I'd sleep on the couch. I wouldn't get a room. I'd do whatever I got to do. I'd be the Mick Foley. You know what I mean? I'd be getting the popcorn out of the thing and be eating that, sleeping in my car. But there was another rule where they had a thing where if you brought up a player before May 15th, that counted as a year of his eligibility before he go free agent. Well, now they have a thing where your player is the rookie of the year. You get an extra draft choice, I think, at the end of the first round, which I kind of like that. If your player is the rookie of the year, I think you get an extra draft pick at the end of the first round. Have you remember that? There's
Something
been
like that. Yeah.
there's little bitty things they've done, which I think, well, that's all right. And the great players will continue. The paychecks just keep going up. But I'm with the players on. They got to take. A lot of guys don't make it out of to make it through arbitration. They don't. Their careers aren't long enough, and so they're taking care of those young guys a little more now. So I like that. I do like that aspect of it. There's always tweaking that can be done, but Vince, I'm with you. I don't know how you do that, but it is the owners could get together and say, hey, this is going how it's going to be. 100 million. You can put that in your team, and I think that league would be better and competition would be better, and it'd be a better product to watch. Myself, I'm with you, Vince. I'm voting for you for the commissioner.
That's another thing we need to change. We need to get an outside commissioner, not an inside baseball man who's in the owner's pockets.
Yes,
Haven't
agreed.
had one of those for since Giamatti, I guess.
It'd be good. Bob Costas. He has such a love of the game, knowledge of the game. I don't know. He just seems like an intelligent guy. I think he would be wonderful.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know.
Anything going on in Cardinal news?
Oh yes, Cardinal news. I have a couple of things here. I was going to highlight one of our minor league players, Quinn Matthews. I'm excited about this kid. He might make it up this year, but he went through the minor leagues last year. He played in A ball. He was in rookie league, and he went all the way up to AAA. This kid was born in 2000. Vince, that makes me feel old. October 4th, 2000. This is when this kid was born. He's from California. Uh, he was drafted he went to Stanford University. He's a smart kid. To go to Stanford, you got to be pretty intelligent. He went in the 2023 draft in the fourth round. Well, actually, he went in the 2022 draft by Tampa Bay in the 19th round, but he believed in himself, knew he could get drafted higher, so he stayed a year more at Stanford, and then we took him in the fourth round, the Cardinals. He's 6'5", 188 pounds, a tall, thin player, as you can tell there. But last year he went to rookie ball and was 3-1 with a 1.47 ERA. And just 30 innings, he struck out 52 and walked 11. That's pretty good through 6 starts. They moved him up to rookie ball. He went 3-1 in 7 starts with a 2.68 ERA. And in 43 innings, he struck out 58 guys and walked 9. So they moved him up to Double A Springfield. In 9 games, he went 2-1 with a 2.41 ERA. In 52 innings, struck out 70. He just kept getting better on each round. Went to Memphis and in 4 games was 0-2 with a 6.48. So right now he's at AAA. He'll start out the year there, but he's got a shot to shine in spring training. He may be one of these kids. I know the Rangers used to bring up their star pitchers to be relievers. Put him in the bullpen. Let him work out of the bullpen. I think his value though is going to be as a starter. He's got some wipeout slider. I'm excited. We've got about 2 or 3 really good pitchers in our minor league system, which we haven't had in a long time. So Quinn Matthews, remember that name. He's a guy on the radar, and I think he might be up as soon as in a couple of years. Hopefully, our pitchers are healthy this year, and we don't have to rush them any faster than we need to. But that's a guy I just wanted to bring a spotlight to. And on this date, January 7th, 1985, Lou Brock was inducted to the Hall of Fame. It was announced in 1985. Lou Brock went to the Hall of Fame, and the Veterans Committee on the same day put Enos Slaughter into the Hall of Fame. So January 7th, 1985, Brock and Slaughter go in together into the Hall of Fame, which is pretty darn cool. And also January 7th is the birthday of the big cat, Johnny Mize. And he was born in 1913, and he was a distant cousin of Ty Cobb, which I didn't know that.
I did not
And
know that.
his second cousin married Babe Ruth. Now that's some royalty. That's a family
Wow.
reunion right there. If I had Ruth and Cobb on my family reunion softball team, I'd be going down the street challenging different families right there. He came up to the Cardinal organization, and he was actually traded to the Reds, but he had a leg issue, and they said no to the trade. They nullified the trade. So he came back. The Cardinals worked on his leg, and he ended up becoming a Hall of Famer, a 10-time All-Star, 5-time World Series player, 4-time home run leader, which the Cardinals, if you think back, we haven't had many home run leaders. Mize and McGuire. That's about it through our history. A 4-time home run leader, 3-time National League RBI leader, and he spent 3 years in the military. I always have a soft spot for those guys in World War II that missed 3 years of their prime years. He still ended up with he had a 312 batting average, and he still ended up with 359 home runs and 2011 hits, and that's missing 3 years of his prime years to World War II. So just bringing a little spotlight on Johnny Mize and Brock and Slaughter. So that's my little Cardinal corner there.
Yeah, Mize was put in by the Veterans Committee too, which he was late 70s, early 80s before he made it to the Hall of Fame. And when you have a batting average above 300, over 300 home runs, 2,000 hits, I what took so long? I go off on this tangent every episode now. Players do not get any better. Put them in. So I'll shut up.
No, no, Vince, I agree with you totally. I always look at the guys. I mean, guys like Mickey Mantle, DiMaggio, Williams, and Ruth, and Cobb, and Gehrig, and very few people stack. I don't know where that line is though. Where's the line from really good to legend? I don't. It's kind of, but some of them are like Ricky Henderson, Nolan Ryan. They're so Ernie Banks. You can't deny those guys. They're just, you look at them and say, "Oh my God, that's a Hall of Famer right there." But the guys like Harold Baines. I'm sorry, Harold Baines. I'm like, well, I don't know about that one.
See, I kind of looked at the stats, and from there, I kind of separate, and I can only say this for the guys that I saw play. Was that guy a game changer, or was he just another guy, a good guy, but just another guy? And when I think of, we'll use Harold Baines here. Harold Baines was not a game changer. He put up great stats because he played forever. His longevity allowed him to compile stats. People used to call him, he's just a stat compiler. But then when I think about Harold Baines, was he a game changer ever? Not really. And another guy that kind of gets maligned, that maybe shouldn't belong in the Hall of Fame is Tony Perez, who I really liked when I was growing up. But Tony Perez, was he a game changer? Not really. He was in the middle of a stacked lineup where, Tony Perez has had 832 straight years of 90 plus RBIs. Well, yeah, when you got Rose and Morgan in front of you, you should drive in a ton of runs. So I that's kind of what I think in my head. Here's the stats now. Was this guy a game changer? Um, Pardon my French. Was he an oh shit player? Oh shit, he's coming up to bat. Oh shit,
Oh
he's
yeah.
on the
Oh
mound.
no, not
Oh
that guy.
shit, look who's coming in for the bullpen. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So, um, and Johnny Mize was certainly one of those guys.
yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely.
If he had those stats today, he'd be paid 700 million.
Oh heck yeah, heck yeah.
Is that it for Cardinal news?
That's it for Cardinal news.
Well, nothing's going on in Cub news. We did sign 38-year-old veteran Southpaw Caleb Tealbar to a 1 year contract. He has usually his ERAs in the low threes. So we're adding arms to the bullpen. I certainly expect us to do one more major splash. And there's rumors that we are holding out for Bregman. I don't know, but that's one of the rumors that I've heard. So I'm not sure if Bregman is just going to be another Itzhak Paredes, uh, guy who benefits from a the Crawford boxes in Houston is at 355 down left field line, as Paredes found out. That's a lot longer than most other parks. So we'll see, but that's really all that's going on in Cub news right
What
now.
about? Do you guys still think you're involved for that Japanese pitcher ROKI? That
We
guy?
are involved. I think we're like one of the five teams that are talked about. I'm just looking at it this way. If we get him, it's icing on the cake. If we don't, we never had him. Um, I mean, this is strictly his decision. Where does he want to go? So we'll see.
All right.
So
Hey Vince, I've got a little feature here. I was going to ask you. May I ask you three trivia questions? I
sure.
Vince is incredible with you can bring up any subject, and Vince, even if he doesn't know it, he knows something about all this. So I have three baseball questions, and the normal person would not get these questions. So these are very hard,
So if I
but
get them, I'm abnormal. All right.
yes, you're having normal. All right. The greatest fielding first baseman in my estimation is Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez was on the show Seinfeld. How many episodes was Keith Hernandez on Seinfeld?
I did not watch Seinfeld. I've seen certain episodes, but I wasn't one of these people that watched it.
Yeah,
It's like Friends. I've seen episodes, but you know, I
faithfully.
um, I'm gonna say three.
The man is a genius. Three. And I swear we didn't set this up. Here he is talking himself down.
I'm
Boom.
normal. So,
Now, this next one, Vince, this is a very tough one. If you took the age of the old, if you combine the age of the pitcher and the age of the hitter, what is the oldest combination of hitter and pitcher in the history? Now, this happened in our lifetime. I will give you that. This happened in our lifetime. Oldest pitcher, oldest, and I've got the top five right here.
wow.
Yes. If you add their ages
In
together,
facing each other,
facing each other. This is a good question.
what comes to mind right off the bat is old pitchers like Charlie Huff and players that played a long time like um, Ricky Henderson. So that's one that's a guess of mine. Howe and Henderson.
Oh, that's a strike one. Strike one right there.
Okay. Um,
This is a very tough question, and I don't think 99.9% of the population would not get this.
this is outside the box. Um, Gaylord Perry pitched forever, and the White Sox kept bringing back Minnie Massino to pinch hit into like his 50s. Is that one of them?
No, neither one of those guys are on the list. Neither one.
Okay. Julio Franco lived to be, he was still hitting in the majors, maybe close to the age of 50. Um, and oh gosh, maybe John Franco played forever too. I'll say Franco and Franco.
You know what? That's an excellent guess, and you got half of it right. Julio Franco is in both the oldest and the second oldest. Julio Franco, Jesse Orozco, and Julio Franco met up
Ah,
on May 15th, 2003. Now, I don't want to tell you how their total age because here's the oldest one. And I'll have you guess at their total age. The oldest combination in our lifetimes was Julio Franco and Roger Clemens. They went after each other. Can you guess the total age? You put them both together. In what neighborhood do you think they would be?
88.
93.246 days.
Oh my gosh.
Julio Franco was 48.296 days, and Roger Clemens was 44 and 315 days. How
Wow.
about that? The second oldest was Orozco and Franco, and that was 90.289 years. The third oldest was Omar Vizquel and Tim Wakefield at 89.92 days. That was 2011. And then 4 and 5 are tied because the pitchers had to face the other pitcher. It was Jamie Moyer and David Wells. So both guys, it was 88.307 days. So Moyer and Wells were the answer to fourth and fifth oldest. So that's something for us elderly people, for us more mature fans of the game. There's hope for us out there. You can be a part of a record like that.
Yeah. Orozco came up with the Mets in like the early 80s, and he was still pitching in
Oh, three.
2003.
Yes. And he was a spot one of those guys come in. I think he was a lefty, and he would come in against their lefty and get him out and pitch to like one guy.
Yeah.
You know, one.
Bye.
Yeah, that's it. I remember he was on when they won the World Series against the Red Sox. I think he was the pitcher on the mound, wasn't he? That day I could see him put his arms up and Gary Carter going crazy.
Then because early in his career he was a late inning guy. So
Yeah, Orozco. I'm a fan of him. I always liked Orozco. All right. Here's your third question. This one is subjective, I think, a little bit. All of baseball, there's been a lot of people who put musical albums out. I know Johnny Bench was on Hee Haw one time singing country songs. What Major League Baseball player had the most, or what you would call prestigious musical career? Who made the most of his music ventures?
well, like I said on here before, I do own a Bronson Arroyo CD that I got at the dollar store.
Don't be bragging. Don't be
I picked
bragging.
it up for a novelty. I know Blackjack McDowell was in a band called View, which was pretty good.
Okay.
Um, there's probably some older guys that before our time that they had pretty good singing careers.
They did. They can go out and perform. Adam Wainwright's out there right now performing,
Yeah.
but he's kind of new at it.
I don't know. I don't have a guess.
Well, it's Bernie Williams, the center fielder for the New York Yankees.
Yes. Is he's like a classical guitarist or something?
Yeah, and he was nominated for a Latin Grammy. He has recorded with Bruce Springsteen and Bella Frock, who I don't know who that is, and he wrote a book about music with Paul Simon. So that's pretty high air there, you know. And some people say his playing of the national anthem is one of the best national anthems they've ever had at Yankee Stadium. I read that as well. So I thought I'd just throw some crazy trivia. But Vince, you're so good at this, man. I like the way you think. You know, you came a lot closer than I ever would have, and you got 1.5 out of 3. You got the Julio Franco. Yeah, very good.
So I'm not completely abnormal. So you know who's abnormal?
Who's abnormal? Oh, Jeremy Connor.
Connor, so abnormal.
Oh, that guy is very abnormal.
Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. Oh, this is going to be a fun segment because I have my better half here who happens to root for the wrong team. And we live in the same house, although, as you can tell, she's in one room and I'm in another because this is how you have to get along sometimes, especially when you're talking about baseball. But anyway, Kathy, thank you for joining us. And I'm just going to turn it over to JJ, and he's going to play the National Enquirer reporter and get all the dirt about this situation we have.
Yes, I'm going to be Chuck Woolery here. 2-2, 2-2. Kathy, thank you for coming on. This is great. You brighten up our set. This is fantastic. I've had so many questions for you. Now, how did you meet Vince? How'd y'all first run into each other?
We met on MySpace.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
She was stalking me.
I was not stalking him.
so I've never been on MySpace. Do you swipe right or swipe left? I don't know how. If you like somebody,
No, it was like the precursor to Facebook.
Okay.
So it was just friends, a friend site, and we had a mutual friend, and then I got married, and he saw that I got married, and so then he checked me out after I got married. Broke up that marriage to Teddy. Teddy was a giant teddy bear that my daughter had me get married to. So I wrote about it, and you know.
Did Vince, was he wearing a shirt? It seems like he got to run around without a shirt a lot. I got pictures sent to me without a shirt.
He had some odd pictures on there. We won't talk about those. He was wearing clothes, but
all right, Vince. I like your style, Vince. You classied it up a little bit there. Now, how long when you guys started going out? Now, is baseball a big part of your life? How did you become a Cardinal fan? First off, how did you get the love for Cardinal baseball?
well, let's see. I think I was born with it.
Amen.
My grandma's dad, I think it was. So my great grandpa actually umpired games.
Okay.
I don't know, but her whole family was Cardinal fans. There were people, some of them out in Oklahoma. Yeah, Oklahoma's big Cardinal fans, and Grandma watched it all the time. And then when I got into middle school, we could earn straight A tickets, you know. So I started getting to go to the games because I would get free tickets. Because otherwise, nobody would buy me anything. But we got free tickets and started going. So
very cool. You and Vince, the romance starts, and how long when you guys start going out, you find that this he looks like a perfect guy is a Cub fan. How long before that comes to the head?
I knew before we started going out, and yet I still went out with him. Yeah, it was like mercy dating or something.
I'll tell you a little bit about Kathy. At the time was whenever I was living in the mobile home, and the first time we ever chatted online, I went to bed. The next day, I woke up and she had sent me a link to a site called Missouri Trailer Trash. I thought, eh, we may have the same sense of humor here. So,
It's good to find out early on.
That is fantastic. And
no,
your family, you told your family, hey, the guy I'm seeing, he's a Cub fan. Did they give him some trouble? Or, because Vince is a lovable guy. When I first met him, the Cubs had something go wrong and he went, oh. And I said, oh, you're a Cub fan? And he let me know, yeah, I'm a Cub fan. I was like, that's cool because I like anybody who's passionate about anything. He had a pure passion for his ball team and baseball. But when you told your family, were they like, what the heck?
Yeah, I think they questioned my sanity and they took pity on him. So, I mean, had to feel sorry for him.
Vince, did you go in there with both guns blazing, or was you soft and just hey, I like baseball, or do you mention it much?
it wasn't an issue with her family until 2015.
Oh yes.
I don't take this wrong, but fortunately, uh, Kathy's stepfather, who had been her father since she was what
11.
11, he had passed away before earlier in 2015, so he didn't have to live through the agony of watching the Cubs defeat the Cardinals in the playoffs because he wouldn't have taken it very well. But Kathy's uncle was alive and he lived at the house where her mom and dad lived. And I remember we watched that last game of the playoffs in 2015 over at their house. And I had to temper my celebration because I knew I'm in a bunch of Cardinal fans. And her uncle Russell got a little ticked off about it. And Kathy's mother said, well, Russell, we win all the time. Why don't you let the Cubs win for once? Oh, okay. So,
Yeah, that was my next question about celebrating. Like, do you guys get you watch the games together? If one like, the Cardinals are having a down year and the Cubs are doing good, do you guys kind of pull for the Cubs? Do you don't really rub it in, I wouldn't think, but do you kind of give the other one a little trouble? Or do you make any bets? That's a good question. Is there bets on the line like, hey, the Cardinals win, you got to do dishes this week or something like that?
that's an
No.
idea.
I do not do any betting.
Okay. All right. No
We
betting.
try to be nice to each other.
Yes.
The
That's
kids
the
haven't
problem.
always got in on that, but like, no,
It,
don't rub it
it
in.
was very rough in 2011 because not only did the Cardinals win the World Series, she spent the whole winter rewatching games 6 and 7.
That's
Just kept
great.
rewatching. And I was getting, I've had enough of this. I don't need this anymore. So then when they went, was it 2013? The next year they went when they lost to the Red Sox, I think it was.
Sir.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't rooting for the Cardinals to lose the World Series. I was just thinking, gosh, I hope if they win, I don't have to spend the whole winter for rewatching games.
Now, you guys, how many kids all together do y'all have? How many?
5.
Five? Are all of them? Are they split too? Are there a few Cardinal fans, all Cub fans, all Cardinal fans? I know Max is a Cub guy.
Yeah,
Rebecca's a Cardinal fan.
yeah.
Hey, okay.
Rebecca's a Cardinal fan. Max is a Cub fan. Violet would say she's a Cub fan, but I don't think Evelyn and Tabitha care at all.
They don't care at all. All right. Well, okay. Now that y'all, you've watched the Cubs some, and you've seen, and Matt, and Vince keeps up with all the stuff. Do you have a favorite? Well, first of all, who's your favorite Cardinal player? And then I was going to ask you, Kathy, who's your favorite Cub? Do you have a favorite Cub player?
Let's see, a favorite Cardinal player. We doing like all time or current?
Uh, both. Give me both.
Okay, all time. I'll take two favorites.
Oh,
Tommy Herr.
Tommy Hearn, I'm on the wall back here.
He's gonna destroy my marriage.
And Joaquin Andujar.
Oh, one
Loved
tough
Joaquin.
Dominican.
Loved him.
Very good. Very good.
And then current is harder because we no longer get to see the Cardinal games on TV. So
I
it's hard to keep up with them.
have to cry in shame. I'm kind of in the same boat y'all are right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel weird because I know more about the Cubs than I do the Cardinals. And the cat is trying to crawl up behind, get
Oh,
down.
that cat, he loves the camera. He loves
Okay.
the camera.
So this is the different. This
Oh,
is my cat.
This
this is
is
your.
Yeah,
Tuffy.
come to the front. Come here. Um, so
I would recommend Mason Wynn. I met him. What a nice young man, and he's a terrific player. Well, what
yeah.
about Cub? Is there a Cub that you don't you kind of pull for?
Um, oh, let's see, because y'all are moving around too.
Yeah, and there've been a lot of Cardinal Cub players that played on both teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
It breaks my heart when a Cardinal goes over to the Cubs. I'm like, oh man, Keith Reeds or Edmonds or somebody like that.
I liked it when Dempster Fowler came to us.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That was nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a series win. That's
That was
true.
the year we went. He took me to Wrigley. We went to Wrigley, and I had to get a shirt. So that was my concession. I'll buy a Cub shirt that has Fowler on the back because now he's a Cardinal.
I have to say, I like Busch Stadium, but going to Wrigley, I mean, that's the mecca right there. That's what baseball should be right there. Going to Wrigley, I have to say that.
Yeah.
Vince, do you have a Cardinal favorite? I know. First of all, who's your all-time Cub guy, and then who's your favorite Cardinal?
Well, my all-time favorite Cub is Sandberg.
Ah,
Um, and close second is Bill Madlock. Um, my all-time favorite Cardinal was Willie McGee. And for current on the current teams, on the Cubs, I just love watching PCA play. Offense, defense, the way he goes about the game and the way he has a passion and the talent he has, it's just fun to watch. Um, on the current Cardinal team, as I said a week or two ago on here, I really like Mason Wynn. I just such an impressive young player, both talent wise and his personality, the way he engages with fans and the media is light years beyond his age.
outstanding. Now, Vince, I know you take some trips around the different ballparks and everything. Is Kathy going to make some trips with you? Like back up, you've been to Wrigley once together. Uh, I've never taken my wife on a baseball trip because I go total baseball. But this year, she's going with me to Cleveland, Ohio. We're going to Cleveland together. But I don't know if she's going to go to the games. She's just going up to with me to Cleveland.
We went to Cincinnati a few years back.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a nice
That was
park.
neat.
Yeah, there you go.
Huh. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like baseball enough to go to the games. Or I would like to go to the Hall of Fame too.
Yeah, oh yeah, Vince went up there. That's right. Hey,
Yeah.
maybe that's a trip coming up. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. That's on our list. So I am fortunate that I have a wife who is not going to go into the Hall of Fame within 20 minutes. Say this is boring. This is
Uh,
boring. So
Now, in your house, is there any memorabilia? Does she have an area where, hey, no memorabilia in here, no Cub stuff in here, or is there Cardinal stuff in some areas, or do you have like a Cub Cardinal toothbrush, or what's going on there?
We do intermingle the card and
Oh,
cup stuff.
okay,
So
all right.
yeah, it's around.
See, now this is perfect. You guys love your teams, and when baseball season starts, I'm sure it's a little more intense. But you guys get along good, and oh man, what about when it gets down to like the final week? And we don't really have that much, and both teams are battling for first place. It can get pretty intense then.
That's rough.
Yeah,
That's
that is
rough.
rough. A little more quiet at the home front.
Don't hang out together. Now that the year the Cubs were in the World Series, I had to teach him how to watch be in a World Series because
Oh,
that when was it the last game? It was the last game. Yeah. He's getting upset and then there was a rain delay and I'm going to bed. I'm like,
uh-oh.
you cannot go to bed. They're still playing. So I
I
sat
had
up and
just
watched.
watched Rajah Davis tie the game, and having lived through Cubdom my whole life, here it goes
Can't give
again.
up.
And I can't stay awake for it. I went to bed. I laid there for about 5 minutes. I thought, heck, I'll get up and watch us lose. And we didn't. So,
I thought I thought when Chris Bryant slipped, I thought, oh no, here we go.
yeah, I did too. I thought, there it is. There it is. The ball's going to go into the stands. So,
Yeah, as a fan, you got to be like, you can't get too high, you can't get too low, and this World Series is the ultimate high and lows right there. You just got to go with it. That's right, and being the World Series, we may never see the Cardinals or a Cub in a World Series again in our lifetime, so we got to enjoy it while we can, you know. But I'll tell you what, this year it's going to be tough. I know the Cubs are supposed to be pretty good, Kathy. We might be in for a long year this year.
Well, as long as I only root for them to lose if they're playing the Cardinals. Otherwise, they can win every game.
I'll tell you a little something about my wife. My wife never really paid attention to baseball until she met me, and she knew I loved baseball about 2 minutes into our first conversation. And she said, JJ, you ought to root for the Cubs. They've never haven't won a World Series in so long. I said, why are you crazy, woman? But I was happy for them. I was happy for them.
well, let me back up. Uh, when Kathy was growing up and she got her straight A tickets because she's ultra smart, um, she would get a scorecard and keep score of the games too, which impressed me. Like, oh wow,
But I kind of made up my own system, though. But I still did it. But I
yeah.
made up my own system.
You keep the scorecards. I do to kind of go back and remember them every once in a while. Look through them. Did you keep them?
No. Although
Yeah,
there may be some over in my mom's house in a box, but I
I'm a
didn't.
clutterer. I keep all keepsakes. So that's just who I am. But
I'm
yeah,
sure I've got something.
heck
She
yeah.
probably made me throw them out.
I only got to go to a straight A night when a straight A student befriended me and took me with them. That's the only time I went to a straight A night. And they always put you in the upper deck. You're always
Okay.
waiting upper deck. Thanks, Cardinals.
The Loge. Sometimes you get the
Oh, yes.
Loge.
Well, we'll have to get together this year and I'll go to a ball game. That'll be fun. I know I went with you guys last year and you were nice enough to take me on your family outing to see the Cardinals and the Mets, and I really enjoyed that last year. That was a blast.
Fun.
We got to see Bader back in St. Louis, and we got beat, but it was still fun watching that together.
It was a good night.
It
Very good.
was in that perfect weather.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I had fun. So
Well, Vince, do you have anything to add about y'all's I don't know, your love and your family and the Cub and the Cardinal rivalry? Anything in there?
no, it's my first wife was a Cardinal fan, and this is when we were dating. It was the 84 World Series or 84 playoffs when the Cubs had this 2 games to nothing lead on the Padres in the playoffs, and they lost the next three in San Diego. And we were watching this, and when the ball went through Durham's legs and another ball hopped over Sandberg's head, she started singing the Rod Stewart song that was popular at the time. Some guys have all the luck. And finally, I looked at her. I said, "This is serious to me." And she got really mad at me. Gosh, it's just a baseball game. So, I should have known at that time that this was not a good match for me, but so I have been in that relationship where it is contentious because of the teams, but with Kathy, it's been,
Yeah,
she's a Cardinal fan, which is great. She likes to root for the Cardinals. She will watch baseball with me.
that's
She'll
great.
watch, and she knows that it's serious to me, and I know it's serious to her. So we don't make it antagonistic. And I do know not just marriage relationships, but like I said last week, there's some friendship relationships that I know of that they cannot talk about baseball because it gets so contentious with them being rival teams. And you think of that kind of stuff with like the Yankees and Mets fans, and or in the big cities. You don't think of that in the Midwest because everybody's friendly, but as I can attest to, this rivalry isn't always friendly. And in fact, it was very one-sided until 2015. And I thought, I'm never going to catch a break. I'm always going to hear it. I'm always going to wear my Cub gear. I'm always going to hear it from Cardinal fans. And it's just gotten much better. But as far as our relationship goes, we started off on the right foot, understanding kind of where the boundaries are. I the closest I come to the edge is I tell her I don't like Tommy Her.
Oh, man, that's
So
staying on the couch talk
You
right
just
there.
you're just jealous.
I don't know. All the girls like Tommy Her back in the 80s. I tell you what, he was a matinee idol, and that's when they had those nylon or whatever kind of uniforms and kind of snug. That's all I can say. And I was like, what the heck? I think he wore his about a size too small, too. He looked like Dwight Yoakam out there,
It
you
was
know.
the hair. He had that curly blonde
Oh, yeah, he
hair.
had that permanent. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, he was a very good ball player, too. Tommy, if you're listening, you're always welcome. You're a great ball player. Well, really, that's all the questions I have for y'all. I think that's wonderful, and plus, as we get older, I just think we have a great love for it. I love anyone who has a passion for anything. One time I met a guy who had a passion for Johnny Sacco and Giant Robot. I sat there and talked to him for half an hour, and he was so enthusiastic, had a huge collection and everything. I mean, I'll talk to anybody who's got a passion for something. So I just think that's great, man.
Do you remember whatever year that was? We were in the World Series and we had Spezio.
Yes, I think that was
Spezio's,
that 06 maybe. Was that
it
06?
was 06 or 07. It was somewhere in there.
Oh
so
six?
Yeah. Yeah. My grandma was very into baseball, and I cut out little red felt patches for everyone, and she wore a Spezio
Oh,
during
how
the
about
series.
that? Yes, my grandparents would send me box scores when I was in the Navy, so I could keep up with the Cardinals. And I'd call home, and my grandma, who didn't know anything about baseball, she'd go, "Oh, that Willie McGee's doing good." That's all. Oh, thanks, Grandma. Thanks for letting me know.
I think
So.
this is probably why Granny haunts you and not me.
we live in her grandmother's house.
Oh.
It's been in the family since Columbus discovered the New World or whatever. But um, I've been haunted 5 or 6 times in
Really?
this house. She's only really experienced one thing, but I don't mind because I know who's haunting us. It's her grandmother, so like it bothers me. So,
Oh, not that. Oh, keep me
and the
updated.
reason she's haunting us is because we put a ceiling fan in the kitchen.
She didn't like it.
True
Okay.
story.
Yeah. That. Did she show up in 2015 when y'all won? Did she show up then?
You
Don't
got to
remember,
answer that.
I don't
It doesn't
I
bother me.
don't remember her showing up at that specific time.
All
So
right. Just randomly. Just random.
yep, just lets me know she's here sometimes. So
All right. Very cool.
well, Kathy, before you go, can you show everybody Tuffy? Bing Bong
Hey,
has been on the podcast many
right.
times.
Yeah. Let's see,
There
Tough.
he is.
Hey, Tough.
Got a hold of me now. Say hi.
Oh, that's a good looking cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably
Yeah.
can't show you your nubbin. Ah, nope, he's gonna bite me. Stop it.
Wow, he's a wild one.
Don't show off my tail. He's got a tail that big.
Oh, I see.
His little nubbin. That's
We
so
also
cute.
have Gizmo, who will never be on the podcast because she's a jerk.
She finally left the room.
A
Yeah.
That
troublemaker.
jerk. She's shy. She's just
All
shy.
right. Well, Kathy, we're gonna dump you, and I will
Right.
see you in a
Right.
few. Okay.
Kathy, thank y'all for coming on. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, thanks for being kind to me.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye
Take care.
bye. All right. We want to thank Kathy for joining us, and
Yeah.
uh, very fun interview. So I hope everybody enjoys that to see that, we were lying. We hate each other, really. I mean, we just she she throws gloves at me and I throw batting helmets at her. It's just
Oh,
anyway, I am opening 1991 score.
91 score. By the way, the 2025 Topps Cards first series will be out in February. And I seen that Aaron Judge is on the first packs. I did see the outside of the packs. Haven't seen what the card look like yet. I have the 2024 Topps update set right there.
Okay.
Do you see him from where you're at?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty
So
much okay.
it, you got COVID. Don't get too close to me.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You go first. I went first the last few weeks.
All right, no problem. Let me kind of get them all in the same direction here. I have stars of the MLB. And we mentioned a player. They always come up in baseball cards. Juan Soto. Right there's a Juan Soto. Nice card. They really have come a long way. And the card hobby is as hot as ever. I was looking up Pete Crow Armstrong rookie cards, and you almost have to have a special ones. But the average one right now is going for about $4 or $5, his rookie cards. So that might be a good investment for folks to get a few this year, because if he has the year people think he is, look out. San Francisco Giant, Robbie Ray. Kind of a fan
Ah,
here. Yeah.
I
Got
hope he bounces back.
what now?
He said, I hope he bounces back.
Me too. Me too. Pittsburgh Pirate pitcher, Jared Jones. They caught an action photo right there of him. I got
Good pitcher. He's just overshadowed by Skeens.
oh yeah, I mean
Yeah.
everybody is. Outfielder for the for the Athletics, not the Oakland, the Athletics, Max Schumann. There he is in the green jerseys.
Okay.
Got an Oriole action picture. It says battery power. It's Burns and Adley Rushman coming in for a.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I like that. Mm. Third baseman from the Florida Marlins, Emmanuel Rivera. I do not know this guy, Vince.
He doesn't get paid much.
No, he's parking cars right now. Winslow Perez. Okay, outfielder from Detroit Tigers, and Detroit's a team to watch. That team is on the upswing. Winslow Perez, Detroit Tiger, right there, running the bases, smiling.
Yeah.
This guy, he's going to be in the starting lineup for the Reds this year. So, I'm terrible with these other names. Candelario, he's a first baseman, a third baseman.
Yeah. Jimmer or Heimer
Yeah.
Candelaria, former Cub, twice with the Cubs, actually.
This is a big league debut of Colt Keith, the third baseman of the Tigers. The Tigers have a lot of good young players.
Yeah.
I'm going to have fun watching them, and that whole Central Division in the American League, that's up for grabs, and all those teams are pretty good. Well, this is one of the few guys the Guardians didn't trade off. Austin Hedges, the catcher for the Guardians, right there. I can't believe they got rid of some of their star players. Brian Hudson from the Brewers. I've become partial to the Brewers since I've been up there the last couple of years watching games. And then dynamic duos. Here is two Athletics pitchers, Bido and Ferguson. I like when they do that. It's rookie combos
Oh,
right
nice.
there. And the last one out of this pack is two Astro rookie pitchers by the name of Henley and Durbin right there.
There they are.
So names of players that could be, big time players here in the next couple of years.
You when you mentioned the Marlins and I made the joke about he doesn't get paid much, and you said parking cars. That reminds me. There are some comedy clubs that you work at. If you are not the headliner, you are expected to turn the room over in between shows.
Clean up
So
everything.
that means basically you're clearing off tables and wiping things down and setting up chairs. And I remember the first time that I did a club, and in between, the club owner said, "Okay, you need to do the all right, you know." And then I'm sitting there, and I mean, I was like the guest, and I got like $25. I thought, maybe I'll get $30. They do a good job.
Well, if they have a few drinks, they might drop $1 out of their pant pocket or something here and there.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I am starting with
How many Hall of Famers?
oh one.
All right, I'm going to say two then.
All right. Uh, Former first baseman, outfielder for the Reds, Todd Benzinger.
Oh, yeah, he was good. He was a good player.
Um, Gosh, 17 home runs 1 year, doing pretty good. Hey, we brought this guy up, but this is him back in his playing days. Dave Martinez, current manager of the Nationals.
Yeah, World Series champion.
Ooh, former outfielder for the Reds and for the Yankees, or not the Yankees, the Dodgers and the Mariners, Tracy Jones.
I do remember him. I do remember Tracy Jones. Okay.
Uh, Former Brewer shortstop Bill Spires.
Yes, I remember him.
Let me,
Did he play a while?
pardon me.
Did he play for a while?
I don't remember. I just remember him playing for the Brewers.
Okay.
Uh, Rookie prospect, former Mets catcher, Cubs catcher, Dodger catcher, and the son of Cubs legend Randy Hundley, Todd Hundley.
Yes, I remember Todd Hundley.
Rookie prospect for the Twins, Pedro Munoz.
Okay, yeah.
Rookie prospect for the Indians at the time, now the Guardians, Jeff Manto. Uh, Former Astro shortstop, Eric Yielding, had a decent career.
Yes, he did. Very fast player. I like those pictures, by the way.
Oh, I love this guy. He started off his career with Fleetwood Mac, then he had a solo career, and then he pitched. We have Bob Welch for the
Oh, Sentimental
Athletics.
Gentleman, I think was the song.
The
Yeah.
lady, uh, Bob Welch. This was the year he won 27 games,
Yeah. But that team was so good, though. They were stacked.
and there hasn't been a player win that many games since Bob Welch. Rangers first baseman Jack Doherty. Do not remember him at all.
Don't either.
Hall of Famer.
Hey, we got one.
I hate to call him a Hall of Famer, but
Harold
guess
Baines.
who it is? It's
Harold,
Harold Baines.
Harold Baines. We love you, Harold Baines. Come on the show.
Um, I got a World Series trivia hologram thing, the 1970, which I cannot read, so I'll just set this aside. Do you know this father and son, their best home run years were, or no, how did it go? They each hit 319 home runs. The very same, pardon me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
319.
And they they have some other thing. I don't remember. But anyway, here's the father, Cecil Fielder.
Oh, Prince and Cecil. Yeah. He had some moonshots in the upper decks.
Oh yeah, a lot of power. I think he had one out of Tiger Stadium once. Just
Oh my gosh.
huge guy. Former Royals closer Steve Farr.
I think I remember seeing his card before.
He was closing out games when I lived in Kansas City. Yankee right-handed pitcher Greg Cadaret
No, don't remember him.
and Yankee relief pitcher Jeff Robinson. So
Okay, I do remember him.
one Hall of Famer.
Hey, you were exactly right. Trivia and the Hall of Fame announcements there.
Well, JJ, let me tell you what I'm doing next week.
All right.
I thought uh, Monday and Tuesday I was going to go up to Omaha with Max and look at apartments.
Oh,
Um, but Max actually found an apartment online with all the amenities that he wants, and he's already made his deposit. So Monday, we're driving up to Omaha. I'm taking the U-Haul. He's taking his car, and I'm actually moving him up. And then I'm flying back Tuesday. So it's like I thought I had a few more weeks here. So we were going to put together some kind of a deal with all the kids and everything, a send off, but with the weather and with how this thing has been expedited, that's not going to happen. But so Max will be off to Omaha. I'm not sure what the schedule is going to be, how much he's going to be able to join us. But uh, good luck to Max. I know he will like it out there. Uh, One of the most gratifying things about being a parent is watching your kids grow up to be adults and make adult decisions. But one of the most heartbreaking things is watching your kids grow up. So
yeah.
it's like, ah, oh, but I telling Kathy, Tabitha lives in Belleville, and I don't see her really moving, even though her husband's from California. I think they will stay here. They both have their jobs and kind of settled here. Evelyn has a pretty good job working in Clayton. She probably won't leave, but the other three, Max is in Omaha, Rebecca's in Memphis, and Violet is in Springfield. No telling what she's going to do when she gets out. I don't know if she's going to move back. So, five kids. If two of them stick around for the rest of my life, eh, I guess, I guess it's okay.
Yeah. Uh,
uh, it's just that the other three will never get Christmas gifts again. Nope.
yeah.
You
That's
moved
the
away
break.
from daddy. It ain't happening. So, oh, JJ, I hope you get better.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. I feel better. Baseball always picks me up. Been kind of rough. Hopefully by next week, my voice sounds regular again. And I had a fun time tonight, Vince. This was great.
I had a great time too. So, and thank you to our guest, Kathy. And
Wonderful.
we will see you all next week.